Good morning and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share the program so your friends can join in the conversation. Also, if you have not already done so, follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and make sure in both cases to hit the notification button so that you can join the conversation as soon as we go live. You'll actually be notified whenever we go live. Also, visit fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. It's a cool place to go to find all sorts of Pro 2A swag, and know that every penny that you spend will go right back into the fight for our right to keep and bear arms. So that means that you'll be able to support the Second Amendment and you'll be able to look good doing it. It's fpcgear.com. All right, let's get into today's topic. Now, you guys, I'm sure you guys have all heard about the shooting that took place in Colorado. The one specifically at the STEM school where two individuals decided that they were going to go to school and they were going to, shoot the place up. There was one student who gave his life so that other students could get away. Another 7 students were injured, or I believe it was 7 or 8 students were injured. As usual, you expect in cases like this that, you expect that the anti-gun left is going to go out of their way in order to, try and push their message to take guns, even though, as we know, none of the laws that they propose are actually going to do anything or would have done anything to keep this particular thing from happening. But they're always really quick, and they have absolutely no real sense of appropriateness. We all know that, we're generally always first out there to say, hey, you know what, maybe we need to make sure that we're not, that we're sensitive, that, these are people lost their lives in cases like this. And at a rally that was put on, now, mind you, it was put on by the Brady campaign. There was supposed to be a vigil. There wasn't a rally. It was a vigil. It was supposed to be a vigil for the individual who lost his life and for the students who were injured. It's supposed to be a vigil honoring them. And unfortunately, the Brady campaign wasted absolutely no time using it as an opportunity or as a forum to push gun control. The interesting thing about it was the students there weren't having it.
My story is that my husband, who you'll hear from in a moment, Kiki,
I didn't sit in that classroom, and I did not sit and watch my friends get shot, my friends die, to have a political conference on it. It's not right.
So, we gotta get out of here. We can't keep here just because, we were mistreated here. We don't want to stay here. I want to thank Highland Ranch High School for hosting us, even though it went a little off track because politics are always fun. And so thank you all for coming, supporting, honoring, if you weren't here for politics. If you were, thanks for ruining it. And before we go, we want to say we love you, Kendrick. We will remember you ever and always. All right, see you guys. Thank you.
All right, so to talk with us more about, get a little bit more background on what went on with this particular rally, as you can see, we have our good friend, Leslie Hollywood from Rally for Our Rights, which actually is based right there in Colorado. Leslie, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Craig. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great. We always enjoy having you. So now I understand you have a little kind of more knowledge about some of the things that went on behind the scenes, things that some of our viewers may not be aware of or may not know that occurred, both relating to the shooting as well as to this particular rally.
Yeah. So, one of the things that, is not being really talked about very much in the media is the fact that these two kids, one was 16 and one was 18, they actually used a crowbar and an axe to break into one of the parents' gun safes. And that's how they actually got their hands on these firearms. So it kind of just goes back to this idea that, we just, all this gun control could have potentially stopped this shooting. And the thing is that when your kids are homicidal maniacs, I mean, they're going to do what they have to do to get their hands on weapons, be it guns, be it cars, be it something else, knives. So yeah, that's kind of one of the interesting things. They actually also tried to set the kid's house on fire before they went to the school. So this was like a whole day of just recklessness for them. Ended up at the school. They walked right into the school, got deep into the school before they split up and went into two different areas and just started shooting. And yeah, so Kendrick Castillo was actually the one individual. He was a student. He was a senior about to graduate high school who gave his life to protect his classmates. He essentially just tackled the shooter to the ground. He was shot in the chest, and unfortunately, he died. But yeah, I mean, he's a hero for sure.
You know, and that I think to a certain degree speaks to like when the kids were yelling there at the very end, and we're talking about mental health, and I think really what it is they're recognizing that this is not. It's not a gun problem. It's not a tool problem. It's a people problem. And in this case, the issue of the people needs to be addressed.
Yeah, you know, and I what happened at that vigil? Well, one, it was just absolutely disgusting, the exploitation that these gun grabbers, you know, do to take this tragedy. Not even 24 hours later, you know, put on this so-called vigil where not one single student or staff from that school was even allowed or invited to speak. They had nothing but politicians. I mean, it was over 30 minutes of just politician after politician. Moms Demand Action, the Brady campaign, March for Our Lives, people coming in from out of state to speak at this vigil. It was just, I mean, I'm not a big fan of the gun grabbers in general. I'm not a fan of Moms Demand Action, but this was taking it to a whole new low. It was just absolutely disgusting. And I think that these kids there's two different things that are happening is that they're realizing that nobody is actually trying to fix the problem. You have the David Hoggs of the world who pretend to speak for all these kids, and truly he's just become a media sensation. I think that's really all that David Hogg really cares about. But the other thing that I kind of see happening here too is that in the last two situations, this one here and the one that we had at the college campus a couple weeks ago, we had students who just stood up and tackled these shooters. And I feel like what's happening is they realize if they don't stop these shooters, there's nobody there to stop them. There is nobody there to defend them. But on top of it, and in many cases on some of these in many places where they're banning individuals from being able to possess a firearm on school grounds, tackling them is the only other option you have. In other words, you are not properly prepared to meet force with force. And that's what the whole point of things like Faster Save Lives and all of that training is supposed to be about. It's about being able to, in the event that something like this should occur, being able to address the situation in all areas. Number one, being able to recognize a threat before it even gets on campus. Once it's on campus, ways in which to get students to a place of safety, but also, if necessary, do first aid. But finally, also if necessary, meet force with the appropriate level of force and be properly prepared to do so. Absolutely. And, you know, Faster Colorado is, an organization here in Colorado that does great work. We in Colorado, it's already legal for school staff to carry on school grounds if they have the approval of the school board. And so in a lot of the rural areas, they've been doing this for many years. I believe this law's been on the books for, I think, 20 years now. And now we're starting to actually take it, and we're seeing it a little bit more in some more metro type of areas. But, I'm a mom, and I've got kids that go to school every single day. My oldest is 19. She grew up in the school shooting era. My two little ones, I mean, they're doing it now too. And as a mom, I mean, of course, these situations terrify me. I have friends whose kids were in the school that day that the STEM shooting happened. And so it hit very, very close to home. But as a mom, what I mean, of course, I fear that that will happen to them, that they will end up in one of those situations. But what I fear even more than that is that it will happen and there'll be nobody there to defend them. And I think that these kids just realize that that's just the reality. There is nobody there, that they're there. They know what's happening. They know what school shootings are. They know what happens next. What happens next is a lot of kids die, and there is nobody there to defend them. And so here we have kids now who say, I'm going to stand up. I refuse to be a sitting duck. I refuse to let my classmates be sitting ducks. And they're attacking these shooters. It's very brave. It's very heroic. But at the same time, it's kind of sad that we've even reached a point where that they have to sit in that place and even consider such a thing.
Right. And then, but then with all of that, and this was the thing, because, I'm sure you've had people say, as we offer prayers and condolences and best wishes to the victims, and whenever these things happen, we always have the anti-gunners are always saying, well, prayers aren't enough, and that's not enough, and they want to take action, they want to start jumping on policy. Well, here you have kids who are like, look, I'm trying to grieve and honor this in particular, this young man who gave his life for other students, and here you are, here are the anti-gunners, in essence, dancing over the body of this young hero.
Yeah, it's like they don't even see. They no longer. It's funny because they always accuse us of being the ones who aren't sympathetic or aren't empathetic in these situations. But they don't even see them as humans. It's somebody actually said this, and I kind of agree with them, which is that those people, the politicians that agreed to speak at that vigil, they are almost no different than those shooters because they care they both care very little about the human life that was lost. They don't even see them as human. They see them as political props. And gosh, I mean, as horrible as what happened at that vigil was, I mean, we know how these people are, but the public doesn't. And they really outed themselves. I mean, there's a part of me that's glad it happened because good, now the whole public can know what their true agenda is, that they truly don't care about making this world safer or making schools safer or any of that, or the students that died. They care about pushing their agenda, which is to take away guns.
Right. And it's, these are the same folks that have ruined, high school graduations and all of that. Once again, at a time, there's a time and a place to talk policy. There really is. When you're dealing with, major events that impact people's lives, whether it, like I talked about earlier, high school graduation, when young people are going off to that next stage of life, or in this case, a vigil for a shooting where you're honoring, and it's really about the lives that have been impacted from this thing. It's about touching them. I don't understand the level of callousness that it takes to just flat out ignore and not see how inappropriate them pushing their agenda at those times is.
Yeah, and I think that's it. You hit the nail on the head. That how do they not see this? How do they really think? I mean, here we have a school. I can't remember how many students were in there. I think it was maybe 1,600, 1,800. It's a charter school. So here we have all these students, kindergarten through 12th grade in this school, who just dealt with this. They are scared. They are looking for answers. They are grieving. They are wanting to celebrate the life of their friend, of their fellow classmate, whether they knew him or not, who is probably the reason that many of them are still here. And I mean, to them, it's kind of reminds me of 9/11. When 9/11 happened, the day after 9/11, the whole country came together. And then later on, it was politicized. This school needed that day after 9/11. And instead of giving them to that, they took that away from them. And the whole thing has just continues to blow up. And of course, we learn more and more about the shooters as each day goes on. And not surprising, always happens. There's always failures in the system with every one of these situations. And we're seeing it here with this situation too.
Well, exactly. Like you had mentioned earlier, these kids, it wasn't like the parents own these guns and they left them sitting in a nightstand or in a box somewhere on a shelf. They were in a safe. They were locked up, and they literally took hammer and crowbar in order to go after, in order to get these firearms out. These were kids who were determined, for one reason or another. They were determined to get done what it was that they wanted to get done. And if they didn't get in my opinion, I could say all I can offer is my opinion. In my opinion, if they weren't able to get access to the firearms, they would have found another way in order to harm their fellow classmates. And just the resolve that they showed just getting to the firearms shows me that this was something that they were going to do. And so it's not the tool that they used. It was the fact that they wanted to do this that needed to be addressed.
Yeah, and and I talk a lot about why do these kids use guns? Why is it always guns and not knives and not bombs and some of the other things? You can learn how to make a bomb on the internet, and it costs a fraction of what an AR-15 costs. Yet these kids still choose to go get guns, and of course, in this situation, they use handguns. They didn't use rifles. But I actually think that we, as a society, we're conditioning kids to be so afraid of firearms, so afraid of guns, that's why these students, that's why it's their tool of choice, because it just adds to the terror. They're just terrorizing their fellow classmates, because honestly, the sight of a gun terrorizes so many people. It's amazing to me. But yeah, they tried to light their house on fire. These kids were just absolutely disturbed. If it wasn't guns, I'm sure that they probably would have had knives or, got on the internet and figured out how to build a bomb. We will never eradicate evil from this world. But we can defend ourselves from it. And that's why, to me, the, right to keep and bear arms is so important.
Oh, no, most definitely. Now, do me a favor before we go. Tell our folks a little bit about Rally for Your Rights and some of the stuff that you got going on coming up here soon.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so Rally for Our Rights is we're a grassroots, nonprofit, nonpartisan gun rights advocacy organization based out of Colorado, and we are very, very boots on the ground. I always tell people that we kind of differ from like the NRA and NAGR or RNGO here in Colorado. We differ from them because rather than ask for money to fight for your rights for you, we are all about helping people become better activists and helping give them a platform to fight for their rights themselves. So that's kind of one thing that makes us a little bit different. We work with our fellow gun rights organizations so that to me, we all make a great big happy family if we can all keep fighting in the same direction. But rallyforourrights.com is our website. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. And we do actually have a really big event coming up on Saturday, this coming Saturday, May 18th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Colorado State Capitol. And this is our Take Back the Second rally. We've had this in the works for a little over a month. We have a great lineup of speakers. If you're in Colorado, definitely come down there. All the information is on our website. Again, rallyforourrights.com. But we've got Evan Todd, who is a Columbine High School shooting survivor turned gun rights activist. He's going to be one of our speakers, which is going to be great on the, kind of on the back of the STEM shooting. We've got Antonia Okafor, who's a Black, armed, and conservative. She has an organization called Empowered. We have a Weld County Sheriff, Steve Reams, who has been leading the 2A sanctuary counties here in Colorado. I'll be speaking. We just have a great lineup. We'll have some booths there for 2A related stuff, and it's just going to be a great day. So get down to the Capitol, Colorado State Capitol, Saturday, May 18th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Excellent. Leslie, thank you so much. Thank you so much for all that you do. I wish if I didn't already have something going on this weekend, I would probably have to try and find a way to get out there to visit you guys. But anyway, I'm sure it will be a good time. A good time will be had by all.
Definitely. And our events are always well attended, and they're so energetic, and they're just a lot of fun. And it's very important to us to keep things nonpartisan. And so I always tell people, the Second Amendment is for everybody. So keep your partisan politics at home, bring your gun rights advocacy and activism down to the Capitol on Saturday. So
amen. Thank you so much. Everybody, Leslie Hollywood, Rally for Our Rights. Leslie, you take care.
Thank you. You too.
All right. All right, everybody. Well, hey, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. We very much appreciate you guys tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program, telling your friends about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.